Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I'm Serah, your host, and today we're going to be doing an Opus 22 Fire Rarity review. I'm going to be covering one card in each rarity of the appropriate element and let you know what I think is a very standout card. Please drop a like, let me know what cards you're excited for, and if you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And without further ado, let's dive straight into the cards. First off, we've got Lilith. Pros, the category and job are super relevant, being FFBE and a knight, especially with having a special in FFBE, means that it's really, really good with some of the other more powerful FFBE cards, including Glaciella Wizette. Fire water crystals was a thing for a little while. Even in the last set, there was some merit to it, and I think this card really plays into that. It's also a knight, which is really good with the 5CP Karilla from this set, and I'll talk about her in another set review. The main cons that I see about this card, very easy to remove, but is by far, at least in my opinion, the best common that you can get in Fire in this set. At least for me, anyway. All of this is obviously open to change. This is just my initial impressions. Up next, in Rare. When I read this card, I was like, this has got to be a hero. It's not. It's a Rare. You can probably find it in your draft chaff, honestly. It's Orin. 2 CP, back attack, fire, or backup. When it enters the field, you choose a forward. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it by your opponent's summons or abilities becomes 0 instead. This is broken in Fire. They don't get a lot of these protection effects, and so this just adds a lot to that. It is really strong, especially in metas where, you have Luso and you really want one forward to survive. You flash this into back attack, and it doesn't feel as bad as maybe Amiing a Luso or something like that. It's really strong. One thing that I did see, because it is only choose one forward, not one you control or one your opponents control, if you play against Magissa, you play this. Your opponent tries to shoot their Magissa, and it can't receive damage. That's kind of fun. Cons, it takes up a backup slot, but really, that's even grasping at straws. It's a great one-of, and it will generate CP as the game goes on, so I'm really happy with it. I think this card is a fantastic rare, and I cannot wait to experiment and try it out. Now, the heroic of the set that I really loved, all three of them are phenomenal, by the way. Go and check them all out. But this card, I see no downside. I've literally, you can see it in the cons. What cons? Garland is a 4 CP, EX Burst. It's in Dissidia Final Fantasy, which had a lot of support recently. And it's a knight, which is insanely good. The context around it being there's so many good job knights. Again, this is fantastic with Karilla, which is a very pushed legend in this set, at least as far as I think, and quite a few of my other friends as well. When Garland enters the field, you get recursion by adding a job knight other than Garland into your hand from your break zone, and a job knight entering the field other than Garland deals 5k to something. With how cheap some of these cards are, including Lilith, like we discussed earlier, dealing 5k is super duper strong for 2 CP. And a lot of the Ice Knights especially, things like Laswell, also have good ETBs, so whenever you attack, deals 5k onto an already good ETB like Dol or Frieza character, Garland's really strong. It's really, really good, honestly. And 4 CP 8k is pretty much on curve for its element. Even at 5 CP 9k, I could see this card still seeing a lot of play just for how good it is. And last, but certainly not least, a legend among legends, and we're showing off the new limit break mechanic. The rules were updated on the FFTCG Square Enix official site. Go and check that out. I'm not going to go over how you use limit break, but the great thing about Limit Break is it's an extra deck. It's like a second hand, so you're always going to have Montleonis. Recursion and Haste. When it ETBs, you can bring one for fire forward of cost 3 or less, and a fire forward of cost 5 or less from your break zone. If you have 5 or more backups, play them on the field. They gain haste till end of turn, and then you put a backup you control into the break zone. This is absolutely a finisher card, and I adore finisher cards. I think they're fantastic. It does require a lot of setup, but again, you're not relying on drawing it to have the timing to play it. So it does a lot more just because you can always have access to it. The cons, it does require 5 backups, but we're in Fire. We have the Goblin package. We have a lot of ways of searching out a lot of our Fire backups. So actually, it's not that big of a con. Being 8k and high-costed is okay. You definitely need to play this off of 4 backups and pitching 2 from hand. It makes the most sense. You don't want to play this. You don't want to pay 5 and then pitch 2 anyway. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's Limit Break 3, which also means you can play another Limit Break after the fact, which is kind of cool. So I actually really rate this one. I think there's some other cool legends as well, but this one definitely is the one that's the most worth talking about, certainly. And I'm a huge fan of build around cards, so I think this is great for build around. But yeah, that's the 4 that I've chosen. Please drop a like. Let me know what cards you're excited for, and if you like what you see, please consider subscribing. It helps quite a lot. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.